How to create an EC2 instance in AWS with Whizlabs hands-on labs. Let us explore. Click Open Console, and you will be navigated to the AWS sign-in page. Copy-paste the lab credentials, and you will be redirected to the AWS console.
So once you get into this interface, AWS console, the most you're supposed to check is region in which you are working. All the labs that we work only in your region. So if by chance you find any other region here, please click on this drop down button and pick the region as North. In a region. Next comes settings. So credentials information, what you see to the right side. So here you'll be finding the account ID, finding the IAM user which you have copied and pasted to login, and other menus which by default are being restricted for you. The only option what you have been given for this lab is a sign out, which you would be using at the end of the lab. Once you complete your lab, you will be clicking on the sign out so that you are taken out of the AWS console and all the resources that you have created remove or deleted from this particular account. Let's get back to this location called services that we see in the left side of the screen. Under this, go for compute, click on it, and here we find the list of compute services. And this lab is about working with EC2, the Elastic Compute Cloud, which is nothing but a creation of a virtual machine, okay, for our purpose. Back to your lab. As you scroll down, the first task is signing it to the console, which you have done, and the second task is launching an EC2 instance. As I have already mentioned, first and most important thing is checking out this particular region. North Virginia region is US East 1. So here we are already been here, North Virginia, and we'll be going to the navigate to instance. The next step is with the EC2 instance by clicking on services menu at the top, click on EC2 on the complete section. This is what we have done, and here what we see is the EC2 dashboard. Now what does this dashboard provide us? This dashboard provides us the basic information about the EC2 service. First thing what you see on the top is resources, which speaks about the basic instances, security groups, snapshots, elastic IPs, and all those things. You scroll down and the next block called as launch instance, which we use to launch an instance. And the next most important thing is SK, service health. This service health is the block provided by Amazon Web Services for this specific region. That is for region US East. It just says how the services are working within this set of zones of US East 1, that is North Virginia region. Any issue, if AWS identifies any issue, will be informed through this block, or as a user, you can just check if services are working perfectly fine. Now, let's come back to the lab document and see here. Here we see this, the third step, which speaks about navigate to instance on the left panel and click on launch instance. Back to your listing. Here we have instances. Click on these instances. So how do I get to my instance page? You have multiple ways. One is click on these instances, or click on this instances running link, or you can directly click on this button launch instance. You use any of these three options and you are taken to the page from where you can launch an instance. So, and just for this now, we just click on this launch instance button, select launch instance, and this is where we are. Okay. So here, the first and most important point to remember is giving a name and tag to your server. So as I mentioned in the past, in the starting of this lab, we are creating virtual machines, and any machine that we create must and should be provided a name and a tag for easy identification. So if you see on the top, it says launch an instance. Amazon EC2 allows you to create virtual machines or instances that run on the AWS cloud. So just give the name as my server 1, or the other option is you can just get back to the lab document, take the copy the name what has been provided here, copy paste. And next, speaking of the OS on which we are going to work. So here we find a lot of OS, okay, provided by various versions of OS provided by AWS for us. And these are nothing but the images, or in a short form we call as Amazon Machine Image or AMI. The advantage is we don't need to deploy any OS, okay, from our side. Pick the image and rest the basic structure or basic OS has been installed for you on your virtual machine. So here, either you can just search the catalog if you know the name, or you can just search the UI here, anything. Okay. So for our lab, we'll be clicking on this Amazon Linux 2 because I'm installing a Linux 2 AMI on this new virtual machine. And this is a free version. That is what we can see here, free tier eligible. So under Linux, okay, these are the various flavors or various versions available, okay, which you can just see. You can just go for Linux 2 AMI HVM with so kernel 5.10, or you can go with kernel 4.14, anything that is free, you can just pick it up. If not, if you pick any other of this OS, you are going to be charged based on the billing that AWS decides. So for here now we are going with this free version of kernel 5.10, and just calm down. So here you can just see the architecture, what is the bit, how much bit is this architecture, and what is the ID, AMI ID. Okay, this you just need to keep it in mind. Next comes the instance type. This speaks about what type of virtual machine you are going to pick up. As you might have already known, AWS provides you various instance types. Okay, that is, it's got various flavors. We can say, I'll just click on here and you can see here you have T1 micro, T2 nano, T2 micro, T2 small, medium, large, multiple things. Now each one, okay, each one is related to a specific specification for this machine. So if I come to this free tier eligibility, I'm going to go for T2 micro. And what does it give me? It gives me one virtual CPU with 1 GB memory. And here, if you can see it down, it just shows you the pricing per hour. Okay. For now, this service, this server is going to be free for you. But what you're supposed to remember is, whenever you work with this instance T2 micro, the server is free, but the memory, the hard disk, what it's providing is being charged. So keep it in mind, whenever you work with any of the services that AWS provides, you are required to shut it down or terminate the service or terminate the particular machine once the job is done. So here, this is what we have. Next is key pair. This key pair is one of the most important things which we use to log into your machine. That is the machine that we are creating. So just click on this key pair drop down. And here I don't have anything. So I'm going to create a new one. So click on create new key pair. Just give a name to your key pair. Let's see what is the name we have got here. See here, if you just see, the UI may change for you based on the things that AWS provides for you. It just changes very frequently. So the AMA option here is different from AMA what we have seen in the log instance. Then this is the T2 micro which we have picked. And in the step 8, we just see creation of a key pair. So the key pair name is Whiskey. Just copy it. See, remember, as I told you, you can provide any name that you want to have. Just copy paste the name. Just leave all the settings. Remember that the file format is going to be in .pem format. The file gets created and gets downloaded into your default location of your machine. Just have it. Next, just done. What is the next step that we have got? Okay, we are going to create a security group. That's the network settings. We find options called as create security group and select an existing security group. By default, AWS provides us with a default virtual private cloud in which we'll be creating all our virtual machines. So here, this is the default virtual private cloud that's provided, that is virtual private VPC, under which I'm creating my machine, that is my EC2 server. So for this EC2 server, what I'm creating in order to work, what I'm doing, I'm going to provide it some certain security features, that is to allow it to get logged in. So for that, I'll be using SSH traffic. When I select this SSH traffic and provide this one, it adds port number 22 so that I can connect to my machine. And next is HTTP. Click on this HTTP button, just shows you. Okay, so what it does, it's going to allow you to access the traffic. That's what it says, allow HTTP traffic from the internet. That is, using this service, you can connect to the internet and you can just watch your details. So this is what you basically have. This is the basic structure. Just click on launch instance now. Once you click on the launch instance, it's going to pick up the data, whatever you provide, that it picks up the name of your server. It picks up the machine type, that is T2 micro. It picks up the image what you have picked, installs this image, that is installs the OS on the selected machine with the given name, with the given security settings, and it just displays you. Click on view all instances, and here you'll be finding your machine getting ready. So wait for the instance state to show you running, because until unless it doesn't say running, we can't work on this particular machine. So just click on this refresh button. Here we see our machine is running. Select the checkbox next to the server or machine, and below you find the details of it. All the details whatever you have provided, and few details which AWS has given you, like the instance ID. This is the ID what system has provided, that AWS provided you, whereas this is the name that we have got for our machine. The same details you find it at the top. This is the name of my server, and whereas this is the instance ID. Now, this is the public IP address which has been given to me by my machine, by AWS, the private IP address, the status of the instance state, it's running. Here you show it's running. This is the public IPv4 DNS. Okay. So you find a lot of details here. Okay. The VPC ID, that is the default VPC, the subnet ID, the AMI, that is Amazon Machine Image ID. Okay. The location of your image, a lot of details. Okay. Even the key pair. So what exactly these details do for you? You require these details when you start working with EC2 in the real time. For this lab, you may not be understanding or you may not be requiring any of these details, but when you work in real time, these details are required when you're going to take an image of your EC2 instance, or when you're taking a snapshot of your EC2 instance. You click on the security tab, it just shows you the security details. Okay, see, we have two ports enabled. One is port number 80, that is HTTP, and port number 22, that is SSH. So this is the security group rule ID. This is the Visa group name. Okay, networking, which speaks about your all the network details what we have in the VPC ID, private IP address, public IP address. Storage. This is the default root device of your storage. This is the root device type, that is EBS, elastic block storage. And what is the optimization, whether it's enabled or disabled. By default, it is disabled for you. And you see the volume ID, you see the device name, you see the volume size, and what's the status. This has been attached to our server, and the time and details. Okay. So status checks, monitoring, tags, everything. Okay. So the tag here is, name is the tag, and this is the value. That is the value what we have provided. Now, let's get back to your lab document and just see what's the next step. The next step speaks about SSH into EC2 instance. Now, we have two options of getting into our server. That is EC2 instance, what we create, that is my EC2 server here. One, through the console. Okay, that is through my browser, I can just directly get into the EC2 instance, or using various tools, like one is MOBA, this one thing called as software called as MOBAXterm, or you can even use PuTTY. Okay, so let's first check the step what we have defined in this lab document. So here it says like select EC2 instance, click on connect option and connect button. So I'm selected here, connect, and this is the details, connect to instance. Here I have multiple modes. Okay, let's check which mode is a system saying. Lab document saying EC2 connect, EC2 instance connect, and click on connect. EC2 instance. Here you can see the instance ID, public IP address, and the username. Just click on connect. Using the public IP address, you have been logged into the EC2 instance with the username called EC2 user. Okay, and being displayed. So here if you see, okay, the first thing is EC2 Amazon Linux to AMI, that is the basic OS has been installed on this server, and here you find the web URL. Okay, aws.amazon.com, Amazon Linux 2. Okay. See, one more important thing what you are supposed to know is like the image what's been provided by AWS is just a basic structure. Any new updates are supposed to be done by the user, okay, whoever is using it. So here it says like 4 packages are needed for security out of 11 available. Okay, this is the command that we are going to apply to work as an administrator. And here you can see EC2 user at the IP address of my machine. You can always verify it back here. See here 52 to 17 127 131. Okay, so this is the other IP address what we have got. Just let's get back to the instance. I'll just show you where you have this IP address. (172) 127. See, just picking up this particular private IP address. Okay, to log here. So now we are into the instance. Now what is it that we are going to do now? Let's get back to the lab document. So this is the steps. Now it says install an Apache server, that is installation of a web server. So the first step is switch to root user. So right now we are just as a normal user. When you type the command sudo su, that is it takes you to the super user role. Once you're in the super user role, see the change here. You are at root at the IP address, and this is the user under the root that is working. Get back and just see the command yum-y update. In Linux, whenever you want to install any software, the command what we use is yum, and -y is nothing but a default parameter what we are providing, which means install without blocking or install without asking the user whether he needs to move forward or not. So yum-y update. Or before that, if you just see here, we can also use this command to update or upgrade our OS. Let's try this one, how it works. Let's use this yum afterwards. Let's say sudo yum update. Let's see what it does for you. This is just installing the packages. This is what is the reason. If you have provided -y at the start of the command, that is, if you have given sudo yum update space -y, then you'll not be prompted here. Like, would you like to go forward? Say yes. Enter. So it just starts installing or it starts updating your OS. Just wait for a few seconds or minutes. It just depends upon your internet connection, the speed. Just wait for these details to be done. So here you get the details as complete. Just press CLS to clear the screen. Oh, sorry, clear. Now, just get back to our command. Here it says yum-y update to install. Let's see what it does. Yum-y update. This is going to update your machine, which says like plugins are already installed because we have already used sudo yum update previously. Now get back. This is the command which is going to be used to install your Apache web server, that is httpd. So just do the command yum install httpd-y. See here, since I've given this -y, I'm no more going to be asked, do you want to proceed? It just installs the complete package and gives me the details. Now the next command is start the web server, that is system control start httpd. Started. The next command is enable of this web server. It's been enabled. Now you are going to check the status of the web server. Sorry. If you see here, it clearly shows what is the status, the Apache HTTP server. loaded under the so-and-so location, and it's active, running. Okay, it just even gives you the time, date, and everything. Just see. So with this, we have installed a web server on our virtual machine. Now get back to your console. Go to the public IP address what you have here. Just copy this. Get back to your browser tab, open a tab, paste, and press this. Paste the IP address and press enter. This is the default page of your web server. See here, powered by Apache 2.4. This is what we got. Now, the next step for us is to deploy or create a small web page and see whether that comes or that gets displayed along with this IP address. So let's get back to the lab document. That is the next task. Create and publish the page. Just copy this command. I will explain you what this command is all about. Copy. Get back to this console. Let us clear this part and paste it. So here what exactly we are doing. In this command, the first part is echo. Like in Linux or Unix environments, whenever we say echo, it just writes the contents to a particular file. Okay. So I want this particular text to be written to a file called index.html. If the file is existing, it just overwrites the data. If not, it creates a file and copies or pastes this data. And where this particular file is, the file is in the so-and-so location. Under root, I have var, www, and html. This is a folder structure, and within the HTML folder, I'm creating this file called index.html. Just press enter. You got the page created. Now, just for safety purpose, let's restart the web server so that it accepts this page. That is, any cache, any cache is stored in the web server gets cleared and just keeps the cache fresh, so that when it requests this page, that is when I request index.html along with the public IP address, I should be able to see. So I'll just say system control restart HTTPD. Your server is restarted, web server. Now get back. So this is what the document says. Now enter the file name /index.html after the public IPv4 address. See. Get back to this page. I already have this IP address. Go provide /index.html. Boom. This is what we see here. Hi Whizlabs, I'm a public page. If you see here, this is the content what we have written in the particular file. I said, hi Whizlabs, I'm a public page, and the same thing has been displayed here. So now what did we do? We just created a web page and we deployed it in the default web server location. And when I just give my IP address and the file name, it displays the text. Now let's check whether the lab has been successful or not. The success of this lab is based on the steps that you have followed, which has been defined in the lab document. So here we are supposed to click on the validation button. Just go back to the top of your page, click on validation and say validate my lab. Here it will display you the result of your lab, whether it is success or failure. The success or failure of this lab is purely based on the steps that you have followed given in the lab document. See here the status says success. Now it just gives you the basic details. It says like what you have done. It says you have created one EC2 instance in this lab. It gives you the EC2 instance details. That is, you have picked up Amazon EC2 instance creation status as success, Amazon Linux to AMI status, key pair, assigning public IP, enable SSH port, SSH status, installing Apache web server, adding a HTML page, all these things. So you can just see whatever we have seen in the console. Okay, that is, just get back to your here. Let's go to your instances. Select the server and whatever details you see here are being displayed here. The example is you have launched an EC2 instance with ID 0034533551 blah blah blah. Just come here, and if you see the instance ID, it just matches this instance ID. So basically, we just want to tell you whether the lab was success for you or not. So with this, the lab is successful. So what can you do further? The most important thing is the time that we have allocated for this particular lab. Within this time period, you can just perform this lab any number of times. Once the time is over, you have been automatically logged out of the lab, okay, and you are done. And if you are finished working within that time, then the most important thing is after clicking on validation, going through the whole lab documents, the first step you are going to do is just close all the opened windows what you have done for this lab. Okay, that is, I'm going to close this EC2 Instance Connect. I'll come to my AWS console, go to your account details, click on sign out. Just a sign out, so you'll be taken out of this particular lab. Okay, come back here and click on end lab. Always remember, once you are done with your lab, click on end lab. If this is not done, let's say you want to end the lab, end the lab. If this is not done, what exactly is the problem you face? The problem you face is next time, that is within this period, if you just open another lab, you get a warning saying like a lab is already running, so we can't open the new lab. So to avoid this issue, we suggest you to end every lab that you have finished, and then proceed to the new lab. Thank you.
For more details, check the link in the description. Learn with Whizlabs. Success certified.